Today on Coding with Carla, it feels like a great time to start learning the JavaScript basics. JavaScript gives you the ability to build interactive websites. JavaScript is everywhere. Websites, mobile apps, desktop apps, IoT, game development. It is everywhere on the internet, so let's get to learning so that we can build some fun stuff. Okay, I'm sitting here at google.com. We're going to play around with some JavaScript, some basics, right from our console on this browser. So all I'm going to do, you can use any browser you want. I'm on Firefox. You can use Chrome. Do not use Internet Explorer if you can avoid it because it's just not my favorite. I like Firefox and I like Chrome. Those are my favorite ones to use. So go ahead, jump into your favorite browser, right click, and you can just do inspect element. And now you're going to get this whole battery of stuff to play with. And you're going to click right here on console. And now we can type in JavaScript right here and do all sorts of fun stuff. So let's just check out a couple of very basic things with JavaScript. You can use all sorts of data. There's three basic types. There's numbers, strings, and boolean. Numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, stuff like that. Strings are going to be any sentences that are going to be in quotes. And then boolean is true or false statements. So if I tell you that my name is Baba Boo, that's false. My name is Carla. That's true. So these are Boolean statements. So down here in my console, I'm just going to type 2 plus 2. When I hit enter, the console tells me that that answer is 4. Now if I say true and false, if I have one true and one false, that's going to be false. If I have true, it's true. True is true. So these are just some ways. We can also do hello world, and it's just going to return hello world right back to us. So we're already typing JavaScript, even though it's very basic, it's very simple. These are the three basic types of data that we're going to use throughout all of these lessons. So let's go back to our numbers. Now, if we wanted to do different types of math, you can use addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So let's go ahead and say 2 plus 2 times 3 divided by 4. This is one long thing. So what do you think the answer is going to be? 2 plus 2 times 3 divided by 4. We get 3.5. How did we get to that? Well, 2 plus 2 is 4, times 3 is 12, divided by 4 should be 3, right? Except it doesn't do that. It uses proper math structure. So it's going to multiply 2 times 3, which is 6, divided by 4, which is 1.5, plus 2, which is going to be 3.5. So you're going to do order of operations the same way you did when you did math in grade school. Come on out, Tuckers. So let's get back to this real quick. So let's just order of operations, multiplication, division first. If you have parentheses, parentheses will come first. So let's do another one. Let's say parentheses 2 times 7 divided by parentheses 2 minus 1. Now what are we going to get? We got 2 times 7, which is 14, and they're in parentheses, so they're going to go first. And we're dividing it by 2 minus 1, which is 1. So it should be 14, right? So this is going to be just basic math. It's how it was when we learned it in grade school. It sticks to that same plan of action here. So now let's look at strings real quick. So I'm just going to type hello world, which I did before. Whoops. And like I showed you previously, it's just going to return hello world. But we don't always have that whole sentence. We might have some different stuff in between. How can we put those all together? Well, you can actually concatenate strings with the plus sign. So I can type hello, comma, space. Actually, let's just do hello, comma, end quote. You can do a plus sign, which means put hello with. We'll do quote with a space, and another quote, and then we'll do another plus sign, and we'll say world. So now what's this going to return? Hello, comma, space, world, which is exactly what we told it to put in there. So this is called concatenation. It's taking different pieces and putting it all together. And we'll do this with more complex stuff down the road using variables and maybe put in some array values. Stuff like that is all going to be concatenated into these things. So now let's check out variables. Variables will assign a value to a word. So for example, let's say we want to make a variable with the word name. You'll just type var, which stands for variable, name, and well, let's make it equal to my name, Carla. Now I'm going to end every statement with a semicolon. That's letting the browser know that I'm done. So if I now ask for name, it's going to return Carla. And you can change these variable names as you go along. So you can say var name equals Tucker. And then ask for name again, and it's changed that variable name from Carla to Tucker. And you can do this for a lot of different variable names. So you can say var my house equals my house is my home. And now let's say my house, and it's going to return my house is my home. Now we have two variables here. We have variable name Tucker, and we have variable name my house. And you can actually concatenate these two variables. So let's now try name plus my house, and this is going to return Tucker, my name is my house. Notice though that Tucker and the word my are right against each other. Why is that? Well, there's no space in Tucker or my house is my home. So if you want a space there, you would actually need name plus, and then put a string of space plus my house, and now you'll get Tucker, my house is my home, all spaced out properly. So this is a very, very broad, basic overview of how variables work. You can also say var age equals 22. And now you can actually set up my age is plus age. So it tells you my age is 22. JavaScript is really fun. It's really easy. This is very, very basic stuff, but it's great to see how quickly we're building programs. We're telling the browser what to do. We're assigning variables, we're assigning data, and we're building out strings very easily and quickly. And you can see the progress right in front of you. So this is a lot of fun. Okay, now I want to show you a couple of more things and we'll be done this week. The first thing I want to show you is setting up variable names. If you remember, right, when I set up the variable for my house, I said var lowercase my and then uppercase house. And this was my house. Why did I set it up this way? This is called camelCase. And what we're going to do is for every word after the initial word, it's going to start with an uppercase letter. So you can say date of birth. You can say year of birth. Whatever it is, however long that has to be, you want to keep it concise and true to what the variable actually is for. But make sure that there's no spaces or hyphens or anything like that. You don't want that for your variable names because they're not valid and it's just not going to work. So that's the first thing I want to show you. The next thing I want to talk about is reserved variable names. There's some names you can't do. So you can't do var this. That's reserved. Var const, that's reserved. So if we go over here to the Mozilla MDN, you can actually get a good list of the reserved keywords that you can't use for variables. So break, case, catch, etc., all the way down to yield. These are all things that you just will not use for your variable names because they're already reserved for another function. There's also some future reserved keywords, so keep an eye on this list. MDN is amazing at keeping this stuff up, so just go ahead and look through there and make sure whatever variables you play with and start looking at, you don't use these because they're already taken. We've actually gone over quite a bit today. We've talked about data types, which are strings, numbers, and booleans. We've talked about operators for our numbers, which would be addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. We've learned about the order of operations for those operators. We've talked about variables, how to name our variables, the reserved variable names, and we've talked about concatenation, whether it's putting together numbers with strings or putting strings together. We've learned quite a bit on our first day, and we haven't even barely scratched the surface. This is getting really exciting. Next week, we're going to go over if statements. So we're going to use some more of those booleans to work out some different ideas. So stick around with us. I'll see you next week on Coding with Carla.